Hello, my name's Kathy Bissell. Welcome to the Golf Show 2.0. Today we have a veteran journalist and author. He has a new book out called All Carry. Gary, I know the two of you have been friends for a long time.
There we go.
So why don't you do some introductions and insult each other appropriately as old friends do.
Well, that's what happens. I don't even think he needs an introduction. People have seen him on TV, on ESPN, doing all these great reporting, great stories. Gene Wojciechowski, great writer. And you were in Chicago. Who all of you worked for writing-wise? You were in Texas, weren't you, or not? Who am I thinking of?
Yeah. No, I actually started in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh.
At a paper that doesn't even exist anymore. Bill Plaschke, who you might know from his LA Times day, we worked in a bureau together, like a little three-man bureau. And then I worked at the Dallas Morning News, and then spent about a dozen years at the LA Times, and then went to the Chicago Tribune. And then in 1998, I joined ESPN. They were just starting off with ESPN, the magazine, from scratch. And I was there from 98 till, I guess, officially June of 24. That makes sense? So, about 26 years. So I had a great time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
I loved ESPN. I loved all the opportunities. And I got to spend time with guys like Gary out there in the golf beats.
Well, we didn't really spend that much time together over the years, so.
Well, I'm trying to give you a little love here, and you're killing me.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying,
The truth is, I didn't like you, and I stayed away from you as often as possible.
That's right. We didn't go drinking together or anything. I'd almost forgotten you were in L.A., but yeah.
Well, thank you.
I don't know. You moved around. I always associated you with Chicago.
Well, actually, L.A. was. Look, I had fun at every place. You hope that's what happens. But that L.A. Times staff. Jim Murray, Scott Ostler, Mike Downey, Rick Riley, Mike Kenner, Chris Dufresne, Gordon Eads. Hoffer. It was one of the great newspaper staffs, and I was a very small widget in it. But I loved that newspaper and that sports staff, and Bill Dwyer, the sports editor. So a lot of good memories there. But as we all know, newspaper business has changed dramatically, and so I kind of lucked out to be able to stumble into ESPN at a time in my career where things were evolving there too.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end for newspapers. Yeah, that's an all-star staff. Bill Dwyer was my boss in the Milwaukee Journal.
Was he? Okay.
What a great editor. Yeah, he hired me, so he wasn't perfect. Look,
he hired me too, so he definitely wasn't perfect.
He still talks to me, so he's a nice man.
Let me get my hard-hardened question out of the way. Yeah, so, Gino, a lot of people in America want to know, what's it like to go through life with a last name that nobody can pronounce or ever spell correctly?
Well, Wojciechowski isn't that difficult. I tell people, just think of what's your house key? Wojciechowski. Oh. So, and Kathy and I were talking before you came on here, and she was asking, she's went to U of I, Illinois, and, knew a lot of Polish last names. And my family's from Milwaukee. I spent a lot of time there. And, there, if you go through there's no phone books anymore. Yeah. But back in the day, you went through the phone books, and in Milwaukee or Chicago, it was filled with SKIs.
Yeah.
So pretty normal up in that part of the world. But, Wojciechowski, easy.
Well, people look at it, and there's a lot of letters and just get intimidated.
Yeah, well, a lot of vowels and consonants having fist fights with each other, but
that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, so hey, done it my whole life. I'm good. Butcher it any way you want.
Well, you've done a couple other award-winning books that were nonfiction. How did this idea come about to do a fiction book?
Well, I don't know exactly like when the light bulb went off, but in my basement, I have, I don't know, 2 sets of persimmon woods and old irons,
Yep.
McGregor persimmons, one set that my dad sort of handed down to me 1,000 years ago. And then I think he gave me some Hogan blades and some McGregor blades. And so they're 1,000 years old. And I'd read that, that Nicholas played McGregor's.
Yep.
And I don't know, just somewhere in the back of my mind, I started kind of playing with the idea of what if these clubs were made and meant for Jack Nicklaus, and they somehow possessed, I don't know, like Wonder Boy powers from like the
Magic.
Natural, the bat that Roy Hobbs used as a kid and later in life. What happens if they had these kind of magical powers and they found their way into a ordinary man's hands? And so the whole idea was, what if these clubs gave you a mulligan in life? And so that was sort of the idea. And then I just built out from there, sort of using all my years covering golf. And then just, you know how it is, guys. You jot down notes here and there through the years, and you keep a notepad or a file. And I had done that. I just thrown down little ideas, names of characters, character arcs, storylines. And when I finally had time, and that was when I left ESPN, I decided I'm finally going to sit down and write this thing. So it was a labor of love, and it was enjoyable to just sort of create from scratch. And a lot of my books had been co-authored books with Kirk Herbstreit or Bill Walton or Reggie Miller or I don't know, whoever, Rick Majerus, Milwaukee guy, and you're kind of dependent on them. But when you write fiction, you're just dependent on your imagination and your research and your reporting. And so it was a different way of writing a book, but I really enjoyed the process.
I enjoyed seeing Jack Wolcotty's name there early on in the parts.
He's a main character in a way. Yeah.
He made me 5 wood, I think.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, Jack Wolcotty was a
club maker.
Yeah, in the industry, one of the famed, most respected, revered club makers, and he eventually became Jack Nicklaus's personal club maker. So I kind of use him as a character in the book.
Yeah, real people add authenticity to fiction. It kind of mixes reality. So let me just summarize the book, and you can fix all the stuff I'm going to skip over. But so the magical clubs, a son picks him up at a garage sale, gives him to a dad he's not close to because his dad's busy working for the equivalent of the Golf Channel. His dad's a chop, and he hits these clubs, and he's dismissive, but he takes them out, and he's hitting the ball 400 yards and is crazy. He gets fired by his television network, and he decides to use his clubs with the help of this iconic caddy who's also lost his job, who's the main character, and he starts trying to play in the tournaments and has incredible success. He's kind of a instant Cinderella story, and I don't know how much farther I should go from there, but it escalates.
Don't spoil the ending.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's not so much the plot as it is the interaction between the son and his dad, and the caddy and his ex-boss, and the caddy and the caddy owns a range called To the Lynx Land, which pretty sure is the title of a Michael Bamberger book.
It is, yeah.
Good name for a range.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, and by the way, there's a lot of nice inside stuff in there for people who really follow golf or fellow golf writers, and some of the caddy names. I was waiting for Dump Truck and Akron Trash to be in there, but you probably didn't want to get sued.
Yeah,
that's not even all Carry for Dummies. That's just a bare thing. What else you want to add to the what the
Well,
story's about.
you did a great job sort of capsulizing it. I would say you kind of stopped short, but you know the color, the typeface, the font of the cover it sort of gives it away where things sort of end up.
Well, there should be a little dash of red in there, shouldn't there? A little.
I guess, but come on, cut me a break. We got the two main colors in there, right? So we kind of know where.
Here's a hint.
Where our main characters end up, and but I mentioned, yes, there you go. Very subtle, as always, Gary.
So it's timely.
I just wanted to show everyone one of my boobs.
Yes. Well, people just turned off this podcast and drove.
Because there's no individual.
It is the idea of like I said, the clubs provide everyone with an unexpected life mulligan, and it gives an opportunity, a mulligan for a father and son who basically are estranged. It gives a mulligan to a iconic caddy who has been forced out of the business in disgrace. It gives a 18 handicapper fired TV reporter sort of a second chance, improbable second chance, and all those forces sort of come together on the hallowed grounds of Augusta National.
Are pimento cheese sandwiches involved?
I've never had a pimento cheese sandwich.
Me either.
Okay, good. Gary, you?
Yes, and I will get hate mail for this, but two thumbs down.
Okay.
He's big on the chicken.
Well,
Chicken's
no,
good. Yeah.
they had in the 80s and into the early 90s, they had fried chicken sandwiches at Augusta. It was just like a chicken breast, and it was battered with, and the batter had a little pepper in it. It had just a little bit of spice.
Uh-huh.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But you had to go out in the golf course to get them. They weren't up around the clubhouse anywhere. You had to go down to the 11th green. And you had to get there by 12:31 because they would sell out because it's Georgia. Who doesn't like fried chicken?
Well, and we can get them in the press room too, in the little cafeteria area.
Well, eventually, yes, but not for a long time.
Yeah.
And then right about the time, like, I'm overindulging on because now they're in the media center. Then they got rid of them because when they modernized the whole Masters setup, their insurance people said, you can't sell this fried chicken. It's not being refrigerated. Well, that's a good point.
Well, it's fried
So
chicken.
they got rid of there was always stories about all these little old ladies frying chicken up for the Masters. That went away. Now they get pre-made stuff, and they've reformulated it several times, and it's not anywhere near the same. But that was I don't know why we're talking about chicken instead.
I wish I would have written a cookbook.
Instead of All Carry by Gene Wojciechowski.
You still can.
I still can. There you go. Yeah. Well, part of it is you mentioned authenticity. I really did want to make this an authentic book, and I did. I spent a lot of time talking to caddies, talked with the USGA about clubs and what can be used and what can't. Did research on Jack Wilcotti and others. Had written a ton of notes about the relationships between caddies and players, and tried to bring people to the places, Gary, that you and I have seen dozens and dozens and dozens of times, but give them access to what it's like at Augusta National during Masters Week or whatever other tournament that the players or wherever else we've been, and just try to make it as if they're there with us, and then drop the characters in the storyline into that part of it.
I know you've read all of Dan Jenkins' many
Sure.
novels, and most of them were really good, but they're full of larger-than-life characters, and his stories occasionally got outrageous, and your story occasionally gets outrageous. I mean, I think it's right in that mold. I don't think Jenkins would read this and go, well, that would never happen.
Well, you got to take a leap of faith, obviously. I mean, when you start talking about magic clubs meant for Jack
Yeah.
Nicklaus,
Well,
yeah,
that's
you
the
have to
main one, yeah.
you have to suspend belief. But I don't know how you two are, but two of my favorite books and movies, at least sports movies, were The Natural and Field of Dreams. And they required you to say, all right, there's no way this would actually happen. People aren't going to walk out of the cornfield. Shoeless Joe Jackson isn't going to walk out of the cornfield. And Roy Hobbs isn't going to have a bat called Wonder Boy that was created by lightning hitting the tree on his farm. But it worked. And it worked because there's part of us that always has a sort of romanticism about sports and about what's possible. And I think golf lends itself to that romanticism just about more than any other sport. I mean, I can make a case for baseball, obviously, but so I thought it fit, and I thought the readers would be willing to take that leap of faith with me.
Wait, you're saying The Natural and Field of Dreams aren't documentaries?
I wish they were, but they were great novels, and they translated to film in a really cool way. And I'm not saying all Carrie's ever going to do that, but I at least hope it translated on the pages, and you were able to say, all right, I'm going to go with this and see where it leads me.
Well, it's you to be a fun read. And if you learn a little bit along the way about golf because you're providing actual facts in there, then, you know, Jack Nicklaus did have a putter named White Fang, and he did get it painted white for the reason that you suggested, that it was glaring in the sunlight. So, you know, those kinds of things actually are happening, but the other stuff around it is kind of made up. And, you know, those clubs wouldn't end up in a secondhand shop someplace, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's a martini mix of fact and fiction.
Yeah.
And that was really the only way I knew how to do a book like this.
Who would you envision, if this were made into a movie, playing the lead role, which is it Joe Riley or John Riley? Joe Riley.
Joe Riley is a fired sports broadcaster.
Yeah.
And Hardway Mitchell is the caddy that he pairs up with. I actually had a producer, I don't know, months ago. He'd gotten a galley copy of the book, and he was interested in at least kicking the tires on it. And he asked me sort of that same question. I'm not sure I had a very good answer, but somewhere in there, I thought John Hamm would fit. I don't know if you saw him in the Apple series that he did. What, Friends and Neighbors? Was that the name of it?
Yeah.
A really cool series, drama series, I don't know, last year, I guess. And there was a scene where he's at his country club and he's hitting balls. And man, the guy had a swing. He had a good swing. And I just thought he had the chops to pull that off. Even if he played the caddy, Hardway, or if he played Joe Riley, he could dumb down his swing to make it work. There's nothing worse than watching actors who clearly can't play golf. And so I would want somebody that actually had a swing.
Kevin Costner pitching in the what was the name of that baseball movie? He's pitching a perfect game.
Oh, For Love of the Game.
For Love of the Game.
He's a
Kevin
Detroit
Costner's
Tiger.
Got a 50-mile-an-hour fastball if he's lucky.
Yeah, but he looked like he had the right action. I mean, I think he had played at Cal State Fullerton, I believe.
Did he?
Yeah, and you know, Robert Redford in The Natural, he had a really nice motion and a nice swing. He was believable.
Glenn Ford was probably the worst one as Ben Hogan.
I remember that movie, but I don't remember what Ford looked like. How about Matt Damon in
I remember that either.
Bagger Vance? I can't remember if he had a good swing or not either.
I couldn't get interested in that movie. I did watch all of Mad Men, the crazy advertising series.
Yeah.
Because I was originally in advertising, so that one really appealed to me.
Okay.
And I think he would be terrific in a movie about golf.
Yeah, you just want somebody who,
he could carry it off.
yeah, you don't want to look at that actor every time and go, there's just no way.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
The best one was Katharine Hepburn in Pat and Mike. She's playing out at Riviera, and she's in a match with the boss of somebody, and they tell her you can't win. You have to intentionally lose, and she's furious. And when she gets done, there's like 4 or 5 balls teed up in a row on the range. I don't know why. She just takes this 3, but she was athletic and apparently pretty good at golf. And she just she just stepped and hit like 5 quick swings and just rifled these drives off like.
Yes.
He was a stud.
I remember that scene where they were teed up and she's going through, and I think I had read someplace, I might be wrong, your listeners and viewers can correct me, but that she hadn't taken a lot of lessons. She had just picked up the game, but she was, as you said, just such a natural athlete. Yeah. She was able to pull it off.
Yeah. Babe Zaharias was seen in that movie too. I just love seeing Riviera in 1940 or whenever it was made. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
How about for the caddy? I thought you might say Michael Collins for the caddy, but.
Well, we want people to go see the movie.
Yeah.
So
that's for you, Michael.
That's
Michael.
Probably why we're not reaching out to Michael right away.
For you.
I love Michael, but that wasn't who I had in mind.
He's been a caddy.
Is Hardway? Is he a big guy? Is he a small guy?
He's described as about 6'3", 6'4".
Oh.
And
he's like a Herman Mitchell.
Lanky, and I think we can think of the caddy. I mean, at least I can. Who comes to mind? That sort of.
I can think of 2.
Okay, say it.
Pete Bender's one, and the other guy, Lynn.
Lynn, no.
Well, it's not a Lynn. Let me tell you that.
Okay.
You want to give it a try, Gary?
I'm drawing a blank. Who else is out there?
Okay, I will even, Kathy, I'll give you the hint. His nickname was given to him by Freddie Couples.
Oh. Well, that's why I thought maybe it was Lynn. Oh, Bones.
There you go.
Jim McKay.
Yep. Jim McKay. Yep. That's kind of who was in my head when I was least describing him physically. Who I kind of wrote about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's handy to have somebody in your mind in mind when you're doing that, because even if it's not the person, you say, okay, I want somebody that looks and walks and acts like Bones, and I'll just describe that without saying it's Bones.
Yeah, I mean, if people who read it, and I know you guys just did a speed read, so you're going to miss some of this, but the great instructor who ends up with Joe Riley because of the friendship that he has with Hardway Mitchell, all I thought of the whole time was Butch Harmon.
Yeah.
And Lead Sergeant Jr. is the character in the book, but as I wrote, all I ever could think of was Butch Harmon. And when I used to do my stand-ups for ESPN, there was a little like a little riser right off the first fairway. And Butch used to do, and he still probably does, he would do hits for Sky Sports. And they were right next to me. ESPN was in the middle. Sky Sports was to my right when I was facing the camera, and Golf Channel was over on the other side. And we were our own little community over there. And but yeah, Butch, and it's, I take you to Las Vegas in the book, and sure enough, that's where Butch is set up. So it's no accident. There's a Tom Rinaldi kind of character, and you'll recognize a lot of the characters. I tweak the names, but those that served the purpose in my mind. keep them and make the characters some sort of composite of people that I know and admire and have met during the course of my golf reporting career.
What was the most subversive name tweak you did there in the book of all the characters of someone you slightly hinted at it might resemble?
Well, I did a terrible. I mean, like if you don't get Tom Rinaldi is Ranello in the book. I mean, if you don't get that one, just
somebody has probably called him Ranello. Hey, Ranello, out of the way.
Lee Corso, we worked together on College Game Day when Tom was before he left for Fox Sports. Lee Corso used to call him Timmy all the time, and so in the book, I have this iconic anchor who's kind of a Chris Berman-ish sort of anchor, refer to Tom as Tim, I believe, at least once in the book. I think I did. But Lee Corso used to do it all the time just to gig Tom. So I try to have some fun with those characters. And the antagonist, the golfer who sort of is responsible for the demise of Hardaway Mitchell, I never say his name in the book.
Okay.
He's only known as my guy or my man.
Yeah.
Because, as you guys know, that's how caddies constantly refer to their player. My guy,
Sure.
my man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was going to ask you about that, but you just answered it.
Well, you know, I was preparing for a fist fight with the editor, who's, you know, I was convinced someone was going to say, well, you need to put their name in there.
No.
And we sent this out to however many, my literary agent sent this out to, I don't know, let's say 25 publishing houses. And more than a few of them said, yeah, I really need to know what the name of you need to put the name of the player in there. And it's like, no, I'm not doing it. And they passed ultimately, not just because of that. But there's this one great editor, her name's Amy Einhorn with Crown Publishing, and she's been responsible. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a book called The Correspondent. It's a huge bestseller right now. There was a book called The Help, which turned into a movie. Amy has had a long string of successes. And, you know, knock on wood, the string continues here. But she doesn't know a whole lot about golf. In fact, she knows nothing about golf. But she knows everything about characters and storyline and arc. And she never asked me to change or to put the name of the player in. And she didn't care. In fact, she thought it was a strength. And I loved that about her, that she trusted me.
Is it a good story? That's the most important thing.
Right. That was her strength. And we ham and egged it during the entire editing process. I knew the golf. She knew character, storyline, arc. And as you said, Kathy, you know, how do you strengthen that story throughout the book? So I loved working with her. She was an incredible editor, and she made the book better.
That's always nice to hear.
Go ahead, Kathy.
No, go ahead. Your turn.
Was this is probably a dumb question because I'm asking it, but was writing this whole thing out, was it an ordeal? Was it a task, or were you having so much fun it didn't seem like work?
Well, I don't know how you guys are, but when I write, I lose track of time. Yeah. Now, you know, sometimes the time might be excruciating. Like, you know, our good friend Jaime Diaz, you know, when he writes a story, it's the epitome of what was it, Red Smith of the New York Times said, you know, how do you write a story? He said, well, I just open up a vein and bleed.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jaime, that's his process. He labors over, he's such a great wordsmith, but he labors over every word and sentence structure. I'm not quite that bad, but in this case, I found myself like, I like to write in the morning, really early in the morning, and just go until I can't write anymore. And I would just start writing, and I would I would just kind of fall down that hole of characters and dialogue and plot, and I would look up and it'd be 3 o'clock, and I'd written 8 hours straight and hadn't even thought about it. It wasn't work to me, Gary, and I don't know if you run into that. If that's what your process is, but I loved it. I mean, it was an ordeal at times.
Sure.
But it never felt like work. It just felt like this really cool thing to invent characters and dialogue and storylines and arc and try to make it in a way that was enjoyable.
I'm honored that you think I'm good enough to actually have a process. So.
Well, you do. You may not know it, but you do, and you're a very good writer, and you know that. So
my skill is speed. If you had a contest, tournament ended, you got 15 minutes to write a game story. I like my chances.
You and Bob Harris.
I'll take on anybody. And I'm also a former Wisconsin State high school typing champion. I'm not a hunt and pet guy, so
okay.
I'm fast, probably because I'm impatient, and you got to get those. You talk about you kept going because you had I want to get this in. You had things you wanted to get to, and when you're writing, I'm like Red Smith, but I'm a speed bleeder.
Well,
that's my thing.
Yeah,
did your characters ever take over?
Well, Kathy, that's an interesting way of putting it.
That really is.
What happens is you start to get their voice. So like I've done these books, these co-authored books, and I'll throw out like Kirk Herbstreit. That was a joy to do. I bet.
He seems like a nice man.
Yeah, spent a lot of time with Kirk. We did, 35 hours of interviews, but that doesn't necessarily fill up a book. So early, like maybe say a quarter through the process, I would start hearing Kirk's voice in my head. I could fill in gaps. I could do transitions. I could spackle some areas that maybe he didn't touch on because now I had his voice. And when I was doing All Carry, I started to get Hardway Mitchell's voice. I knew what that was. I knew what Joe Riley's voice was. I knew what Sergeant Junior's voice was because I heard Butch Harmon's voice in my head. And I heard some of the smart-ass caddy dialogue that I jotted down and heard and witnessed and done interviews with in my head. And
so they did take over is the answer.
Yeah, it does take over. That's a great way of putting it. And so each of those characters become part of you. But it takes a little while to get there.
I bet.
But once they're there, now you're good. You're good to go.
Was there anybody you just wanted to get a quick cheap shot in on them as payback and you covered their name up, but you didn't get around to it, or did you get around to it?
Well,
I mean cheap shot, but I mean,
not a cheap shot.
Our insult humor that we all share. Yeah.
Sure, of course. I'm a
You had to get Rick Riley in this book somewhere. You had to stick a little tuning fork in him somewhere, didn't you?
No, because you mentioned Dan Jenkins, and I've read every one of his books, 3 different times, and you got to play Hurt probably 10 times because I thought Dan was a genius at combining humor with dialogue and truth.
He's the best dialogue writer we've had since Mark Twain. That's just my opinion.
And I'm not going to disagree with you, at least from a golf writing standpoint. And I think Rick Riley, I heard his voice, and Rick and I were very close friends for a very long time. And his voice, he wrote what was
the novel?
Wrote a great novel.
Yeah, about sneaking onto the golf course.
Yes, and I can't believe I can't think of it right now. If one of you could look it up, I'd really appreciate it. But it was all about dialogue and storyline, and so that was in my head. So I didn't take shots at anybody. You know, I'm old school. Gary's old school. I've had to learn to understand what golf influencers are and what role they
Missing
play.
link.
Huh?
Missing link.
Missing links, of course.
I thought of it. I didn't even find it yet. I just suddenly came to me.
I thought of it just
You're
right before
staring
you
at
said it.
12 book covers. I was ready to go through them.
Yeah, and that was a really good book, and I had a lot of fun
That was
characters.
a great idea for. It was a great idea for a book.
Absolutely, and so you know, Rick's words and impact and personality were somewhere in my subconscious, just like Dan was. So I didn't take shots because that's not the point. But you know, I can be a little snarky like Gary and sarcastic and take a jab.
I think you and Riley are great at that.
Well, so
and but you deliver it with such deadpan. That's so effective.
I can do that. I can keep a deadpan.
Like a lot of times when we played golf in Bandon Dunes, and you'd say stuff, and it like I didn't know. It's like, is that serious or? You know, I mean, because you delivered it like I don't know whether to believe that or not.
Well, you guys know Jason Sobel, don't you?
Sure.
Okay, I hope he doesn't mind that I tell this story. But there was a year where we both were selected to play in the Monday Media Lottery. And Jason was so excited, as was I. And we showed up on Monday morning, and I got there a little earlier than he did. And I'm parked out there, and I'm kind of waiting for Jason to show up. And we were going to walk in together. So I see his car, and I see him driving, so I know it's Jason. And so he pulls up next to me, and I decide, what the hell, I'm going to mess with Jason. So I pretend I'm on the phone, and I'm kind of gesturing wildly, and Jason gets out of the car, and he's standing next to the window on the driver's side, and I go, well, this is outlandish. This is just wrong. I can't believe you're going to do this to us. And I go, and you know, I pause and pretend we're having some sort of conversation. I go, well, all right, but I just think this is wrong and totally unfair. And I slam down the phone. And Jason is like, what's, you know, open up the car door. Jason's like, what's going on? And we were both working for ESPN at the time. I go, Jason, I got some awful news. Our editor says we can't play in the media, lottery today. He's like, what? We can't play. It's against company policy. I go, I've been trying to get in this lottery for 10 years. I finally got in. I go, I don't know what to say. I just fought with the guy. I tried to convince him, but he wasn't going for it. He's like, what? And I really did think Jason was going to start to weep. And I let it go on for 5 minutes or so.
Oh, gosh.
And finally, I just said, Jason, we're good. And I think that's as close as I've ever gotten to giving somebody having them stroke out.
I don't know why I knew that story. Did I just hear Jason, or did I read Jason telling that somewhere recently?
Did he? Okay, good. Then I don't feel so bad.
No, I saw that. I knew that story from somewhere. I haven't talked to you, so it must
be from Jason.
Must have been from him. It was
yeah.
That was pretty cool, but it was so good.
Yeah, he would not speak to me for weeks.
I don't blame him.
But, Doug Ferguson, whom we also all know,
yes,
had Bob Herrig convinced that there was a Chili's in like North Berwick, Scotland. So it's not just me. Like Herrig goes, really? There's a Chili's? Like, no, you idiot. There's not a Chili's in Scotland, and especially at North Berwick. So, look, we're bored. We do things.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You know, when something is so outlandish, you think it almost must be true because it's preposterous.
I remember the one British Open I went to, I was desperate for a diet drink. As Gary will tell you, I love my Diet Pepsi, but I found Diet Cokes I could buy at one of the little shops in St. Andrews, and somehow Jack Nicholas was walking through whatever, I can't remember what it was, but he was there. I was there. He looked at me. He said, "Where did you get that Diet Coke?" I said, "Do you want mine?" He said, "No, no, no. Just tell me where you got it."
Hard to find, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not so hard to find now, but it was.
Probably not.
Well,
my drink of choice in Scotland was always Lilt, Lilt.
I don't even know what that is.
It's kind of like Squirt, but it's kind of grapefruity.
Okay.
And I also like the name because it's kind of a reference to writing.
Oh.
So it added up to a good drink.
Well, people ask me on occasion, what's your favorite sporting event to have ever covered? And I tell them in the States, I don't even think twice about it. It's Army-Navy. It's my absolute favorite game, favorite tradition. I used to love doing the college game day stories on Army-Navy, going to West Point or to Annapolis and sitting down with those players. They're the best of us. And being there for all the pageantry of that game. I would tell anybody, if you have to pick one sporting event in the States to go to, that's the one. And then internationally, I always loved the Open Championship. I loved everything about it. I loved the weather. I loved the worse the weather, the better. I loved the traditions. I loved sneaking out. And I'm sure you've done this, Gary. You go play North Berwick you get out there at 6 p.m. and you finish at 9 o'clock, and Bubba Watson and his group are playing in front of you, and it's still light outside, and you go grab a pint. It's just magical, and it's wonderful. And so I hear you, I bring up North Berwick. You talk about Lilt, whatever that is, and it just brings back a lot of cool memories. We're very lucky to have covered what we've covered.
We were lucky we hit that window of writing where newspapers still mattered and still had budgets that could send you places and wanted their own stories, whereas now they got nothing. They just take the AP, or if they even have if they're even still in business, it's weird what happened. It's a shocker.
Well, we're going to expire here in a little while because
we can't show this too much.
Well, thank you.
There will not be another book written like this year.
For sure.
It's golf. It's insider stuff. It's fun. It's out there. I will say, it's 1,000 times better than the Golf in the Kingdom. I'm not a Golf in the Kingdom guy. This is 1,000 times better than Golf in the Kingdom, in my opinion. Those people who like Golf in the Kingdom are going to disagree, but that book is a lot of gobbledygook as far as I'm concerned.
But that doesn't mean they won't like this one. This one almost made me cry in the first.
They may like it, but this one's just better. So there you go.
Well, I really appreciate you guys, inviting me on. I had a wonderful time. I'm going to have to text Riley and tell him I'm so sorry I blanked out. But
this could probably that line could probably go in the back of the book. Better than Golf in the Kingdom.
Yeah, we're not going to do that, Gary.
- unknown writer.
We're not going to do that, Gary. But thank you, though, for the sentiment. It was a joy spending time with you guys today.
It was
Thank
great.
You for doing that.
It makes me feel sad we don't keep in touch. You're a fun guy, and
I'll see you at Augusta.
I'll see you in Augusta. We saw Jaime Diaz make a hole-in-one.
We did. Bandon
Dunes. It was incredible, and he hadn't made one for like 40-some years. It was pretty remarkable.
I still have the photo.
You set that trip up. Thanks again for that. That was one of the great weeks of all time. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you, Kathy and Gary. Thank you so much, and I appreciate this. And Gary, I'll see you in the press room.
See you in a few weeks. Thanks, Gino.
Bye-bye.
Bye.